Well, hello YouTube, it's me, Fortmaster, and welcome back to another film theory reaction. So, yeah, film theory, Bluey is much darker than you realize. Is it? What twisted mirrors of reality have you discovered now, MatPat? So yeah, Bluey, if you haven't heard of Bluey, it's an Australian cartoon that started making the rounds, what was it, last year? No, actually, more than a couple of years ago at that. But yeah, it's about a family, and it's just, I haven't watched much of it, but again, from what I've heard, a lot of people are saying good things about it. It has like good representation and has good neurodivergent representation from what I've heard. I mean, just so are we going to have another Blue's Clues thing here where it's like, is somebody going to be an interdimensional alien that's going to be planning on taking over the world? Or is somebody going to have secretly PTSD? Or is somebody going to be dead the entire time? What is it, Matt? What have you discovered? Original is linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner video shall be linking to my game theory reaction, where Matt was talking about how Eagle Vision from the Assassin's Creed series could in fact be real. And yeah, with that out of the way, let's get into this then, shall we?
Mom! Dad!
Uh-oh.
Hello, intern!
Was that a mushroom cloud I saw in the back there? Oh no, this is gonna be. Is this show? Is he gonna be saying? Is he going to be saying that the show is post-apocalyptic, or post-apocalyptic? Because from what I've seen, the world kind of looks fairly intact.
Internet, welcome to Film Theory, the show that clearly has issues when it comes to kids shows about dogs. Today
yes,
I'm covering my new favorite show.
I mean, granted, again, I have my own issues with dogs, but that's because I literally can't get near them without me wanting to claw my eyes out. Thanks, allergies.
I mean, my son's new favorite show, Bluey. For those of you who don't have a family member in the single digits in the house, Bluey is an animated TV series following the everyday adventures of a family of dogs named the Healers. You've got Bluey, her little sister Bingo, their mom Chili, and their father Bandit. Most episodes revolve around the imagination games they play.
I gotta say, having never watched it, I do love the fact that they all have like actual names somebody would give a dog. I mean, that's a nice little touch there.
Mom and dad being absolute S-tier parents by fully committing to the bit. Pretending to be a sheep, a whale, a bus that's racing out of control.
Hit the brakes! Where are the brakes? No. Ah! Reed is eating the brakes!
And because it's a show from Australia, you also get fun lines like this.
Dad, Bluey's running by the pool.
Bingo, don't be a dobber.
What?
Basically, what I'm trying to say is that I've now
Don't be a dauber. Really?
adopted biscuits into my daily vocabulary. All right, so I gotta come clean here. I watch more of the show than Ollie does. He'll go to bed and I'll watch like another episode or two because each one is 8 minutes and they're all so heartwarming that you just feel good watching it. It's a nice way to end the day, but you know what that means. Me liking a show and having an uplifting message, that only results in one thing. Me having to tear it down with a dark, twisted theory. Call it a sign of respect. The theorist's seal of approval. But this time,
That we love your show so much that we are going to potentially ruin it for everybody else.
someone actually beat me to the punch. Currently, there's a popular fan theory circulating that Bluey takes place in a post-human apocalypse. As the theory goes, humans were somehow wiped out, and after thousands of years, dogs evolved to become the dominant species. This initially doesn't seem that far-fetched. At first glance, the world of Bluey does feel very human, with the big difference here being that it's controlled by dogs. And this honestly aligns with other theories we've done in the past with franchises like Cars. But here on this channel, we deal with theories, not hypotheses. What do you think this is? Film-baseless speculation? Which means that we're gonna need some evidence. That's right, today we're doing ourselves a Morty.
Leave your theories in the comments below. I'll pick my favorites in the next episode of Morty.
Oh god. This is such an old running joke. MatPat occasionally reviews theories, yo.
Is there enough evidence to prove that Bluey's world is set in the post-apocalypse? Or is the dog domination actually telling us something else about this very family-friendly fictional world? To begin with, let's break down some of the key pieces of evidence given for the post-apocalypse theory. Number 1. In Season 1, Episode 13, Spy Games, Bluey's little sister Bingo sings the nursery rhyme, "One man went to mow."
One man went to mow a meadow. One man and his dog went to mow a meadow.
How you going in there, Bingo?
I started just doing a wee, and now it's turned into a poo.
Notice here that the lyrics to the song are, "One man and his dog went to mow a meadow." This implies that at some point in this universe, humans were present, and that there's some distinction between men and dogs. Point number 2, all the technology is the same. Cars, laptops, tablets, phones. This technology was left behind by the humans, and once the dogs figured out how to make it work, they then started using it for themselves. If this technology had truly originated in a dog-based society, it would look different, because dogs aren't naturally bipedal. But the fact that they're in this world seems to suggest that the dogs evolved in a way that allowed them to use human technology rather than developing it for themselves. Point number 3, the dogs, they still seem to be transitioning. In the Season 1 episode Barbecue, we meet Bluey's cousin Socks. And unlike all the other characters who walk and talk like humans, Socks is still very much a dog.
I love salsa too!
Socks mostly communicates through barking. She pants, she leaves her tongue hanging out, she sits on all fours. She sometimes even growls at people and bites. Now, you might assume that this is just how baby dogs work in this world, but that isn't necessarily the case. In a Season 2 episode, we see Bluey and her friends as babies, learning to toddle around on 2 feet and vocalize like humans. This implies then that dog society is still going through a transitional period, where some dogs are still starting as dogs, but others are closer in genetic makeup to the bipedal human-like dogs that the series is known for.
Going around the whole theory thing, I think this might be a whole, like a Disney where you have animals and then you have silly animals, as in all the ones that are bipedal. That's how you can have both Pluto and Goofy.
You can see this sort of transitional behavior coming from Bingo in Season 1, Episode 17.
Ruff, ruff, ruff.
Use your words, Bingo.
Can we have a coin for the claw thing?
Speaking of evolving, point number 4,
Use your words.
Dogs eat chocolate.
It was nice, Dad.
Yeah, it's chocolate.
This is important because chocolate is toxic to dogs. Chocolate contains a chemical called theobromine, which dogs can't metabolize. Again, as the theory goes, dogs left to their own devices wouldn't evolve to make and consume chocolate, something that's naturally toxic to them. Instead, this is clearly something that humans made first, and then the dogs, when they inherited the earth, eventually gained the appropriate genes to consume. Point number 5, there's a dog army. In Season 2, an entire episode is dedicated to the dog Rusty playing an imaginary army game.
I'm playing army. I'm about to go on patrol.
Rusty's father is a military man, and he's trained his son. Throughout the episode, we hear all about drill sergeants and soldiers and privates. This tells us that the dogs are familiar with man-made military structures and the concept of war itself. Making matters even more
that's a thought.
Are a breed of dog known as a Kelpie. In Australia, one of the most famous war heroes ever was a Kelpie dog named Gunner, who became famous during World War II for his ability to alert Allied forces to approaching Japanese aircraft. Because of his keen sense of hearing, he was able to differentiate between Australian aircraft and Japanese aircraft, barking when the Axis powers were coming. As such, he was able to save hundreds of lives across 60 attempted air raids. In short, not only do militaries exist in the world of Bluey, but the dog breeds that were selected by humans to be used during wartime efforts are continuing to do that after human societies collapse. And finally, point number 6, there are leashes. At various points throughout the show, we see characters either using leashes or advertisements for leashes in the world around them. If this is a world without humans, why would they exist? Why would dogs create leashes for themselves? And why would dogs be accustomed to using them? The only possible explanation, according to the theories, is that humans made them and then left them behind when they became extinct. But the technology still lingers on to this very day. Overall, there seems to be a lot of evidence in support of this theory. A lot. But before we start breaking down the evidence, I need you to do one thing for me. I need you to go down to the comments and let me know what kids IP you want me to cover next. Right now, I'm working on a Magic School Bus episode, but I'm between shows right now and I could use something new to watch. Thank you for all your suggestions. My night...
Oh, you know what? I'm going to really regret it if he actually does this, but I have to put it in. Here we go. Okay, let's continue then, shall we?
nightly entertainment binges appreciate the good work that you're doing. So now that we know our evidence, let's break it down, weakest to strongest. First, the leashes. Look carefully at how the leashes are being used in this universe. They're being used to keep track of small children. Guess what other civilization self-designed leashes to keep track of their small children? Us, humans. Treating our small young ones like untrained animals that need to be tied up is just a touchstone of any civilized society, clearly. So while on the surface it seems like compelling evidence, in reality it just makes humans closer to dogs than we care to admit. Speaking of silly things that us elevated humans do, we also eat foods that are meant to be toxic to us. For instance, the cassava. It's a starchy root vegetable from South America that contains compounds that break down into cyanide when consumed. But humans figured out ways to prepare the dish so it could be safe to eat. You also might be familiar with fugu, the poisonous pufferfish that has to be specially prepared so its neurotoxins don't kill you. That's another one that some people are just dumb enough to eat. Intelligent creatures are just programmed to find ways to use the resources that exist around them. So it's no surprise that the Dog Society of Bluey would figure out non-toxic chocolate solutions, just like humans did for our food. Now let's talk about those lyrics. One man and his dog went to mow. This one is starting to get into some tricky territory. The idea here is because Bingo says man, it means that humans existed at some point in history. And secondly, she specifies and his dog. Therefore, the man must be a human and the dog must be a dog. It's a pretty open and shut case, right? Well, I don't think so. If you look at how the characters of the show use language, I don't think this is necessarily true. Throughout Bluey, various characters are constantly saying man to each other. It's just a part of their natural language.
Hey, this princess is hard to rescue.
This was the 80s, man. There were no helmets.
So the lyric that says that one man went to mow could still be talking about a dog. But then what would differentiate the and his dog bit? Well, I think in the Bluey verse, calling someone a dog is just how you refer to your kids. In season 1, episode 32, Bluey makes a video where she wishes for a baby, but notice the way that she talks about it.
What Barnacus wanted more than anything in the world was a puppy. Oh, my wish came true. My very own puppy.
In the world of Bluey, traditional dog words seem to be reserved for younger kids who still act like dogs. So in Bingo's song, it's literally the man is the adult dog and his dog is the man's kid. But then what about the fact that the dogs have adopted the technology that we humans left behind? Honestly, that just isn't feasible. The theory says that there was a human apocalypse and that thousands of years later, dogs then evolved into the bipedal creatures that we see in the world.
Yeah, the main problem with that is nothing we have built today would last that long. We don't build on the same scale as the pyramids.
The fact of the matter is that our human technology wouldn't last that long. For instance, a printed circuit board like the ones that are used in your smart devices, it only has a lifespan of 15 to 20 years, which for us isn't that bad. But if these dogs evolved many, many years after the human extinction, then those circuit boards would have degraded by the time they figured out what they were. The battery in laptops, same thing. Eventually it'll just go flat and never be able to recharge. Could they have been inspired by some human tech? Sure. But are they the same devices that the dogs evolved to use? No, definitely not. Speaking of evolution, let's actually dig deeper into that. As the post-apocalypse theory goes, Bluey and the gang are bipedal because they evolved to copy humans. Except humans are far from the only bipedal creatures out there. In fact, in the episode Flat Pack, we watch Bluey and Bingo play their way through the entire evolutionary chain of this world. Yep, that's right. All the evidence that we need to prove this one is just right there in a single episode. In it, they go from fish to frog to lizard to dinosaur and eventually monkeys into cave dogs. This right here, this is where they learn to be bipedal from their previous form, the monkey. Notice that there's not a human in sight here, but then why would a dog go bipedal in the first place? Well, this is actually just a natural progression for many advanced animals. Studies show that humans adopted walking on 2 feet as opposed to 4 because it uses 75% less energy. That right there, it's probably the reason why the Bluey verse walks upright. And that's not all. There's another major linchpin for debunking this piece of evidence, and it's not coming from the show. Instead, it's coming from Facebook. Apparently that website, it's still around. Honestly, I'm just as surprised as you are. Maybe this is something planned all along. Anyway, it's on Facebook that the Bluey team uploaded a short video that's only available in Australia. So I went undercover down under to see what this video is all about, and boy, does it tell us a lot. In it, Bluey's dad Bandit is giving a report to his fellow archaeologists. Yeah, in case you didn't know, Bluey's dad is an archaeologist, which is why his dogs dig for bones. Galaxy brain decisions by the people who wrote the show. That's why I love it. Anyway, in his report, he reveals his latest discovery.
Behold, the only known fossil example of the first dog to walk upright. Our reconstruction suggests this species was a primitive but intelligent toolmaker.
Not only is this a huge reveal, it also gives us a timeline of events. He states that it's 4 million years old, but then wouldn't that just prove that humans were extinct years ago? No, and for one key reason, plate tectonics. Plate tectonics is the theory that the Earth's outermost layer,
Yeah, and they live in actual Australia.
Several giant plates that rest on top of a partially molten layer of rock that slowly moves. Each year, these plates travel between 2 and 15 centimeters. What that means is that bit by bit, the continents we know today are slowly changing shape and will continue to change across time. Millions of years from now, they're gonna look completely different. But herein lies our big reveal. You see, in Bluey's world, the continents are exactly the same as ours right now. In one of the best episodes of the series, Sleepy Time, Bingo has a dream where she travels through the stars, and we get to see Earth looking exactly the way that it looks right now. If this was indeed roughly 4 million years after the human apocalypse, the Earth should be looking completely different. In short, for as fun as the Bluey apocalypse theory is, the evidence just doesn't hold up to scrutiny. However, I see this internet theory and I raise it a new one. Not only can I definitively prove that this is indeed a separate universe, it's gonna change the way that you view our universe forever. In the episode Trades, we see Bandit's home office, and because Bandit's an archaeologist, there are lots of historic photos all around the room, but there's one in particular that stands out. This picture of a wild boar with 2 paw prints on it. This right here, that's a real image from our world. It's actually the first known cave painting thought to be made 45,500 years ago in Indonesia, except Bandit's copy has itself one key difference. There are paw prints instead of handprints. This outright proves that the Blueyverse parallels our own, and the historic parallels don't stop there either. There's also an image of Egyptian hieroglyphics, but with dogs instead of people. And it's not just in Bandit's office either. These similarities go all the way down to their money. The Tooth Fairy leaves Bluey $5 in market, and we get a close look at the note, a corgi in pearls on the front. Now put that next to our image of the Australian dollar bill, and you see the similarities. The corgi represents Queen Elizabeth II, the Queen of State for Australia at the time the episode was made. So history is unfolding exactly the same as it is in our world. This is absolutely a parallel timeline. But not only does this make the most sense, it's also going to change the way that you view the Blueyverse forever. Here's why. I kind of glossed over.
Is he going to say that this is literally a mirror timeline, with the only major difference being that instead of our ancient ancestors evolving into us, we evolved into dogs?
Over this fact earlier, but now it's time to focus on it. In that Flat Pack episode, we saw that monkeys evolved into dogs. That seems crazy, right? Like, why? What evolutionary benefit made monkeys turn into dogs rather than humans? Someone better call Charles Dogwin. Am I right? Dogwin instead of Dark. Okay, yeah. What would cause monkeys to evolve into dogs? Well, for one, dogs have a better sense of smell. 10,000 times better, in fact. But they're also far better at hearing than we are. Not only are dogs able to hear up to 65 kilohertz, while humans can only hear up to 20, but dogs have twice the amount of hearing muscles, meaning that they're able to pinpoint the source of a sound far more accurately than monkeys. As if that wasn't enough, dogs also have reflexes that are 25% faster than humans, which means that they're practically watching us move in slow motion. So already
that was a freaky picture.
See why these little guys are the goodest of boys and why humans would trust them so much. But then why would a monkey evolve to have these skills over human abilities? Surely humans are smarter than dogs, even these highly developed dogs, right? Well, not necessarily. Dogs are able to understand reasoning and logic similar to how a human toddler does. They're able to think and create new ideas. This is something called inferential reasoning, picking up on context clues to help create a decision. If you had 2 cups upside down with a treat in one and you pointed to the one with the treat in it, dogs will use that cue to turn over the cup that you pointed to. Chimps, meanwhile, will ignore that clue completely, and this is where it appears that dogs are more intelligent than monkeys. On top of that, dogs are also better able to read facial expressions than a monkey, so dogs aren't stupid. In fact, far from it. They're using inferential reasoning and emotional intelligence far more than our monkey predecessors. So really, in the end, the Bluey post-apocalypse theory is debunked, and what we're really seeing here in the show is a more perfect world, where monkeys didn't evolve into hairless apes, but instead evolved into the truly superior being, highly evolved dogs. Kinda makes you wonder whether our real world here is truly the darkest timeline. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut.
Well, I can certainly say that didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. I just... a more perfect world through dogs, right? Ugh. And knowing my luck, in that universe, my dimensional doppelganger would be like one of those people that's allergic to sunlight or something. Or even allergic to himself. Oh god, that would suck. Ugh. Another kids show with a rather potentially dark secret in its undertones. Oh, MatPat. Yeah, so original is linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner card will be linking to my game theory reaction talking about how Assassin's Creed Eagle Vision could actually be a real thing. And with that all being said, I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.